Today we're looking at the Geberit Twico 2 Impuls 280 flush valve. So we're going to be installing this in the cistern, but before we do that we're going to be having a look at how it all fits together and the adjustments and things we can make. Now if you happen to be replacing a Twico 2 that's already in the cistern, or if you're replacing a Twico 1 and upgrading it to a Twico 2, this is very easy. There's two clips here, there's one here, one here. So we squeeze those in, the top pops off. So we do the same with the one that's in our cistern. We take that off and we put the new one in. And it simply clips into place like that. How easy is that? If we're replacing this into a system which doesn't have a Twico 2 in at the current time, things are a little bit more complicated. We're going to be doing that shortly. The system we're about to put this in has a different kind of a valve. The main thing is that the hole at the top must be roughly directly above the hole at the bottom. So, and that must also be around 40 millimeters diameter. It doesn't have to be exactly the same because we've got a little bit of movement on this, that this can move back and forward a little bit, but roughly on top. Now the height of the cistern on the inside, so from the bottom of the cistern on the inside to the cistern lid on the inside, needs to be around 350 to 480 millimeters. So from the underside of your cistern here to here, around that size. The reason we can have such a big difference is that this can be adjusted. So if you look on here, we have a lever. Opens up and these two arms come out, and then that allows us to lift this up with a little bit of a pull. It's a little bit of stiff pull, and that goes to a much higher height now. So we can set this to the height we need and close our little, you can see that, then we close our little valve and that's locked. That's fixed in place now. Now the main adjustments on this, we have an adjustment for full flush. So this alters the amount of water that will be in when you've done a full flush. So if you turn this onto the plus, the water will more or less all drain out. If you put this onto the minus, which is to clip it that way, then it will leave a little bit of water in the cistern after the end of the flush. So it's effectively the same as reducing the size of your cistern. Now for the half flush, that's controlled by this central float here. So to change the half flush, we need to lift this float up or down, and we can do that by twisting it. So if we twist that float, it will then lift up or down, and to lock it in place we turn it clockwise as you look down on it. So to unlock it, we turn it anti-clockwise as you're looking down on it. It will move, and then we lock it in place like so. Now if you lift that float up, it will give a smaller flush on the half flush. If you drop the float down and lock that in, it will give a much bigger flush on the half flush. It won't affect the full flush. And that's the valve roughly ready to go. I would set this at around halfway, but it depends on yourself. You can decide yourself how much of a flush you want. Now the final adjustment we have to make is for the overflow. So as the water rises, if you have a leaking inlet valve, the water will keep rising and it would flood over the top of your toilet. So we have an overflow here, which if you look, as the water rises, the water will run down here and straight into your toilet. So we need to set this, and the height of that overflow should be at least 20 mil, preferably about 25 mil higher than the height of the normal water level. You'll be able to tell the normal water level of your system because there'll be a brown stain all around the system. You'll see where the water has been. So you can set this to 20 mil above where the water level sets. And the way that we move it is with this blue thing here. We push it to one side. So there's a bigger hole and a smaller. So that locks it in place. That opens it up. Once it's open, we can push this up and down. It might be a little bit stiff when you get it and you have to pull. But once it's at the right height, we press this in, that clips into place and that locks it, and there you're done.